Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting. I'd like to welcome all of the councilors, staff, those joining us via Zoom, and those participating in the gallery. Happy New Year. This is our first official meeting of 2024. I would also like to make a note and thank everybody who came out this evening and braved our Wawa weather. I'd like to call this meeting to order and note the members present. And as usual, we'd like to start this evening's meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishkon First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous people, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Thank you, and miigwech. We'll now move on to disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of agenda.
I'm sorry, Mayor, do you have the Committee of Adjustment agenda in front of you?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. It wasn't, I didn't have it uploaded. So we will start with the Committee of Adjustment meeting agenda. Thank you for bringing me back to that. So we will start with item number 2, approval of the agenda. 2.1.
I have a resolution, Mayor, moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting of Council scheduled for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 3, announcements. Hearing and seeing no announcements from Council, we'll move on to declaration of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing no declarations, we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the following minutes of the Municipality of Wawa Committee of Adjustment be adopted as presented. Minutes of a Committee of Adjustment meeting held on Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, as contained on pages 1 to 3, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. Business, there is no old business. Item number 7, new business. Item number 7.1.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the Municipality of Wawa Committee of Adjustment does hereby approve the actions of the Secretary Treasurer with respect to the notification of the following applicant. A-1/24, Mr. Danny Mercer applied for a minor variance to zoning bylaw number 2821-15 as amended, respecting 135 Superior Avenue. The subject lands are designated Wawa Residential in the official plan and zoned residential second density in the zoning bylaw number 2821-15 as amended. The applicant is proposing to increase the maximum height from 4.5 meters to 5.7 meters for a permitted detached accessory storage building on the subject property.
All in favor? Carried. Item 7.2. Mr. Sabern?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to review the report that I've submitted for this minor variance at 135 Superior Avenue. Again, the property is designated residential in the official plan and zone residential second density in the zoning bylaw 2821-15 as amended. The applicant is proposing to increase maximum height of a building from 4.5 meters to 5.7 meters. The application was reviewed considering applicable provincial and municipal legislative documents. Under the provincial policy statement, The application being considered is site-specific to accommodate a specific proposal and does not involve any major policy considerations. And as such, the proposal conforms to and is consistent with the provincial policy statement. The subject property is on an existing lot of record that has been developed for residential purposes prior to the date of the adoption of the official plan. Residential uses are permitted and site alterations are permitted. The proposal meets the intent of the official plan and use conforms to the residential designation. The R2 zone permits a dwelling, detached, and related accessory buildings. The applicant is seeking an increase in maximum height of a permitted accessory storage building. The requested relief is as follows. Maximum height under zoning bylaw 2821-15. Requirement is 4.5 meters. Proposed is 5.7 meters. The variance requested is 1.2 meters. The proposed location of the accessory storage building is in the rear yard. It is an appropriate location given permitted location of an accessory storage building should not be located in the front yard. The storage building meets remaining general provisions for detached accessory buildings. The general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw are maintained in this application. The permitted uses on site are not proposed to change as a result of this application. The proposed variance represents desirable and appropriate development of the lands and are not anticipated to create any adverse impacts on the adjacent properties. The application was circulated to external agencies for their review and comment. There were no comments or concerns raised that would preclude this application from moving forward. At the time of the report, no public comments received. Any public comments received after the publishing of this report would be included as an addendum. The requested variance maintains the general intent and purpose of both the Municipality of Wawa official plan and zoning bylaw number 2821-15. The proposal is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, building, or structure, and the requested variance is minor in nature. As such, the proposed application meets all four tests under the Planning Act, and the application is being recommended for approval subject to the proposed conditions. It is recommended that the minor variance application file number A-1/24 for the property located at 135 Superior Avenue is approved. It is subject to the following conditions: that the approved variance applies only to the proposed garage as shown on the approved drawings attached to the notice of decision. The accessory storage building should not be used for human habitation or an occupation for gain. The owner applicant shall provide to the building department a copy of the decision of the committee of the adjustment, together with a copy of the approved drawings when they make an application for a building permit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sabourin. Is there any questions or comments from council regarding the application for minor variance? Is there any questions from Zoom? I'm seeing shaking heads.
No, there's no questions from me, no.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hatfield. Mr. Sabourin, it's so I believe that council is aligned with your recommendation that the minor variance for this property located at 135 Superior be approved as recommended. Am I correct in saying that we will see this application on a future meeting and where a bylaw will be passed?
Excuse me, Mayor, we have a resolution to be read tonight. This does not require a bylaw. It's a committee of adjustment process, so it only requires the resolution.
Perfect. And you'll read the resolution now?
Yes, thank you. Moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that minor variance application A-124 submitted by Mr. Danny Mercer for minor variance to zoning bylaw number 2821-15 as amended, respecting 135 Superior Avenue, described as Plan M363, Lot 12, PCL 8818 AWS in the Municipality of Wawa, be approved subject to the following conditions: that the approved variance applies only to the proposed garage as shown on the approved drawings attached to the notice of decision. The accessory storage building shall not be used for human habitation or an occupation for gain, and that the owner applicant shall provide to the building department a copy of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment together with a copy of the approved drawings when they make application for a building permit.
All in favor? Approved. Item number 10, adjournment.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman that the meeting close at 6:40 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Excellent. Now that we've gotten all the cobwebs out, we will move on to the Committee of the Whole meeting. And we'll just take 1 second to move on to that agenda item.
If I may, for Mr. Mercer, there is an appeal period with the Committee of Adjustment hearing, so you will receive notice of the decision of council, and then there'll be a 20-day appeal period that anyone can make an appeal to council on the decision, so it's not final until 20 days, but you will receive notice in the mail and the exact date after the process is complete.
Perfect. Excellent. So I will now call the Committee of the Whole meeting to order and note the members present. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest.
I have one.
Councillor Cannon.
I, Councillor Kathy Cannon, declare a potential indirect pecuniary interest on item number 8.1, item title, Ice Fishing Derby.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cannon. Councillor Rapato, did you, no? Perfect. With that said, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. May I have someone to make a motion to move? Councillor Hoffman? May I have a seconder? Councillor Rapato? All in favor? Carried. There are no delegations or presentations this evening, so we'll move along to item number 5, adoption of minutes. 5.1, Committee of the Whole meeting, Tuesday, December 14th. May I have somebody make a motion to approve as presented? Councillor Hoffman? Councillor Rapato? All in favor? Carried. Item number 6, business arising out of previous meeting. 6.1, High Falls road name change. Mr. Patterson, the floor is yours.
Thanks. So this is just an update to the report that I wrote to council last year regarding the High Falls Road and the proposed change to Scott Falls Road. So what we've done is we have given notice as per policy PR 004. So we created an advertisement, we put that out to the public, we had a comment period. We only received one comment during that period, which was from the folks who originally gave us comments, which was Evolugen, used to be Brookfield. They made one quick last minute suggestion, which was pretty reasonable, to just include dam in the name. That way people don't drive down the road expecting a waterfall and then are disappointed. And I've noted that in here that also matches Steep Hill Dam Road. So that's the only change that we're recommending. Other than that, all of the name changes that were contained in the previous report stand as our recommendation, and we've given appropriate notice to the community to do so. The only other thing I would add is after the comment period, because I hadn't received any comment from the residents on the road, and I know both of them, I called them, and neither of them had any issues with it either. So I think that covers all of our bases in terms of making sure that everybody is notified appropriately. So we have a bylaw coming up to officially change that road name, and that would be in February, I believe, Maury? In February.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Alex. Is there any questions and comments from council regarding the High Falls road name change? Seeing and hearing none, I think that this is a good recommendation, and I think it'll certainly streamline and minimize confusion with this area. Thank you very much. Item 6.2, proposed changes to waste disposal site levels. Ms. Weatherall, the floor is yours.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We certainly can.
Perfect. Okay, I switched over to my phone. So I'm not going to reread the report. Generally, what this is saying is, looking at the data we had before, looking at the recommendations that we had, looking at council, and kind of looked at proceeding forward with, some form of alternative in terms of changing, days and hours. We are going to recommend to move to follow sort of what the averages were across the several communities that we looked into. I also looked at a couple others just to make sure we were in line. And so we're hopefully going to recommend that we'll move forward 3 days with the landfill open, a Tuesday, Friday, Saturday approach, 6 hours each to be open, the average of 18 that all the other landfills are open. So if that is agreeable with mayor and council, then we will continue on that path and we'll begin a public education campaign, looking to maybe start this after the May 2-4 weekend, just because that's a pretty monumental day, seems to be the start of summer. So with the sort of season change, we're looking to move forward with something like that. So as long as that's agreeable with mayor and council, we're going to continue on with our recommendation. Otherwise, I have no problem going back to the drawing board, but that's going to be our initial recommendation.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Is there any questions from mayor and council or from council regarding this proposal? I am not seeing or hearing any questions, Rebecca. I believe that as a result that we are in alignment with your recommendation to reduce our operating hours at the landfill site to be more in line with other comparators in our region.
Thank you.
6.3, Food Cycler Food Waste Diversion Municipal Pilot Program. Please continue.
So we had that really great presentation from the Food Cycler program. I should apologize. There is a typo in my report to council. The one table says 25 units. It should say 50. We'd like to recommend moving forward with purchasing 50 of the 1.5 liter units, 50 of the 3 liter units, and then having a sign up process for the community to come show up cash in hand to come and pick up a unit. So we're hoping that mayor and council agree with that. If you have any questions, please let me know. But I think it will bring a lot of value in terms of the path we're trying to move forward with trying to find ways to divert waste to the landfill and expand the life cycle of the new cell.
Questions, comments?
I got one question.
Councilor Rapato?
I got one question. You're saying it's $20,000 we save in a lifetime. How long is a lifetime?
Looking at I contacted Jacob Hanlon, who did this presentation. So a lifetime is around 5 to 7 years for the smaller unit and about 7 to 9 years for the bigger unit. So they actually have a pretty decent lifespan. And then at the end of that, Food Cycler is committed to finding an electronics recycler and or using best practices to make sure that when our users are done or their our cycler reaches its end of life, that it gets recycled appropriately as well. So they try to have a holistic approach in how they move forward with the bin. So a small one is about 6 years, 5 to 7.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hoffman, Councillor Cannon. Councillor Cannon?
Rebecca, can you remind us how much the cost is to the municipality and anybody that wants to take this on?
Yeah, so I believe the smaller units are about $150 by the time the municipality applies their rebate, and the larger units can be $300. The municipality, the breakdown is in the report there, but it's going to look kind of scary at first because the initial cost is $35,000, but of course there's rebates through their program. So in the end, it's going to end up costing us around $12,000, just a little bit under 13. And so we've are asking council for $15,000 just as a safety net. Of course, we can use that extra money for advertising materials and or any other additional shipping costs, things like that. So that's why we're asking for $15,000 for this project.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Councillor Hoffman?
How do you decide who's going to get one?
So in talking with Maury, we've sort of come up with a first come, first served basis. If people want one, they need to come cash in hand, ready to come pick one up, according to the size and things like that they need. So we're not going to hold one for anybody. You need to come cash in hand, ready to move forward.
I didn't look, but when are they going to be ready?
If we sign our agreement for the end of this month, we will be looking at receiving them in March, I believe.
Thank you.
And that's in my last question, Rebecca, and I did have similar questions to other council, like Councillor Hoffman. Have we put any kind of thought into how we can collaborate with other outside organizations to ensure that people who might not be able to afford the program become eligible for, so that all members of the municipality could participate in this program? So lower income residents.
Yeah, so that's one thing that Maury and I again had talked about, because we agree it's really important for people that maybe can't afford one right away. If they want one, they should be able to have one. We wanted to make sure that we ran this first pilot, that it was 100% all the units got out. We're committed to talking with ADSAB and other groups that have users that they think would like to purchase one, to try to find ways to subsidize that for them if that's something that those groups are looking to move forward with.
Perfect. I would also encourage us to reach out to Mishkon First Nation and their members. Anybody who's living in Wawa, that might be a group that might be interested in participating as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Perfect. So I think if I look at your recommendations, you're looking for council to approve us to enter into an agreement with Food Cycle. And I believe that based on the comments I'm hearing today, that there's no opposition to that. Seeing no opposition to that, so I believe that council is in alignment with the recommended next steps for the municipality to enter into an agreement, and for staff to work with Food Cycle Science to deliver the program. We look forward to receiving a final report that will be presented to council summarizing the program. And I look forward to being the first one to receive my unit.
Perfect.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to item 6.4, the drill rig monument 2024 update. We'll pass it back to Mr. Patterson.
Thank you. So the last council meeting that we discussed the drill rig, staff received direction from council to complete repairs to the unit. So staff worked with Tulloch Engineering to develop a set of drawings that we could use to get quotations from. We took those drawings to a couple local welders who had given us some pricing. We selected a contractor and we worked with that contractor to develop some alternative solutions to the original drawings so that we could essentially do the repairs for cheaper and a little bit more reasonable using that contractor's knowledge of how to repair equipment, machinery, things like that. So essentially what we came up with was we have a local contractor who provided us some alternatives. Those alternatives were then approved by the engineers. They would work, the calculations worked out, and it significantly reduced the cost. So if council will remember, the original cost estimate on this was about $80,000 as a Schedule D cost estimate from the engineer. We're looking at a lot closer to $40,000 now as the final total. So I've provided council a breakdown in the report of the cost to date. So we're sitting at about $35,000 right now, and about another $5,000 will be the final inspection, the welding inspection, things like that, and the final report from the engineer. So that's essentially just an update for council. We have the work scheduled for the end of this week, so we got a little bit of plowing to do around the drill rig to unbury it, but we should have this leveled and repaired essentially by Friday this week.
Okay, and so just to summarize, you're not looking for anything from council except just for alignment that you want, that council is looking to continue the work. And
yeah, the work is already scheduled, so even if you told me no right now, it'd be a little too late, unfortunately. So it's really because of our purchasing policy, and we did this as sort of like a safety critical improvement. Then our purchasing policy says it's my job to report back to council when we've done this type of work, of what the costs were involved, where we're at, things like that. So this is essentially a part of that report, and you'll have the final report once I have the final engineer's letter in hand saying everything is safe, everything is okay. These are your sort of future considerations for maintenance, so that council can consider that. Part of that final report as well, I just received pricing from a contractor on painting the unit. So part of that final report will be a budget estimate for painting that unit, and that will be included in the future budgets for consideration of council.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Alex. Is there any questions or comments for Alex? Seeing none, I think you were aligned with your recommendation, and please proceed with the work.
Thanks.
Hopefully the snow will stop before then. We will now move on to item number 7, monthly reports. There are 5 monthly reports listed, and we will continue on with previous practice, and I will ask council for any questions that they may have of any of the information that they have read in the monthly reports.
I have none.
Councillor Opato has none. Councillor Hoffman? None. Councillor Cannon?
I do. I just wanted to ask Manuela. She said that she's going to get council involved in reviewing the 2025 to 2027 capital budget. Does she have any dates that she's looking at?
Thank you, Kathy Cannon, Councillor Cannon, sorry. I'm thinking of a kickoff or initial meeting where we could set a schedule and agenda review some of the items that council would want to discuss over these meetings, review the strategic plan, and just do a brief overview that evening as well of the budget and the preliminary stages of the capital and operating for those 3 years. So I was thinking January 31st or February 14th, which are both Wednesdays, at either about 5 o'clock or 6:30, whatever works for council, if those dates work. Either one of those dates.
So at this point, I think I'll ask that we circulate those dates via email.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Manuela.
Councillor Hatfield, did you have any questions regarding the information that you read in the monthly reports?
No, I didn't. Thank you.
Thank you. Manuela, I had one question based on the information I read in your report. I noticed that the net loss, the overall net loss in the tax assessments was $1.1 million in 2023. Based on various events, the municipality had a large net loss in their assessments due to fire and other things outside of our control. Is there a likeliness that the municipality will regain that assessment based on our current plan, or how would the municipality go about regaining that assessment, if I can phrase it that way?
What individual property owners are going to do, but in the past, when there's been fires, either residents or business, usually insurance steps in, and there's usually a rebuild and quite often a better assessment than what was there previously. So we do recoup that bump down in that, but we have no way of knowing if someone's going to rebuild or if they're just going to demolish and it's going to become a vacant land. So the hope is that there will be a rebuild and the assessment will improve.
Okay. But really it's, I guess in your opinion, or maybe I guess I could pose this question to Maury, this is a kind of really important for the municipality to look, we've lost $1 million in tax assessments.
So it is definitely important. Again, we can't determine what an individual property owner is going to do. We can encourage some kind of development over time if there isn't development, and it's hard. It's a northern problem. It's not just a Wawa problem. I think it's a problem throughout small northern communities. We're remote and there's not a big draw for people to come here. Business is hard to recoup if it's a commercial property. So
For sure. So it definitely is, and it definitely leads to the importance of economic development. That's where I'm kind of leading with my question.
Thank you, Mayor. And if I could supplement what Manuel is saying, we meet annually and regularly with the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. Losing assessment is not a new trend for Wawa. This has been ongoing for many years as council's, familiar with receiving applications for reductions in assessment when there are unfortunate circumstances such as fires, but also when people change the use of their buildings or remove structures. So it is a concern. You are absolutely correct in pointing out to staff and council that this is a concern. And unfortunately, based on MPAC data, it's going to continue. So to recoup that lost assessment, there are several things that council can consider as we move forward with things like, for example, our community improvement plan. Council will soon be in the receipt and go through the process of approving community improvement plan, where council has the authority to approve certain financial incentive programs that will spur development. So you'll hear more about that in the days to come, but council can approve certain financial incentives that are permitted under the Municipal Act to encourage new development by implementing something like a tax incremental program, which anyone who would build, their taxes aren't 100% due in the year one. You can graduate that over a 5-year period as one type of incentive, or give some financial assistance for someone to improve their property. So that's one way. Another way I think council's already doing, but we can look at doing more, is, selling land in industrial park at a reduced price with a incentivized terms for payment and constructing. So whatever council can do to incentivize or encourage new development, it is definitely partially the answer is economic development and making sure that our community is front of mind out there for new entrepreneurs and new businesses to come to town. So there's a mix of ways to try to combat that. The other thing that council could do, and I know that council supports from past discussions, is encourage the province of Ontario to undertake the reassessment that is required. So there's more fairness and equity in our tax and property tax system, because there hasn't been a reassessment of our properties in the community since 2016. And I know that all of council and members here tonight know that a house in 2016 that might have sold for 80,000 is likely double that in 2024. So whatever council can do, along with AMO and FNOM and other municipalities, to encourage the province to be more fair and equitable in how we collect property taxes, is also part of the answer. But there isn't one easy answer, and this is something that council should keep an eye on as we move forward, because it is definitely a concern if we don't take proactive approaches and programs to try to combat that. So thank you.
sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing. So the million that you're looking at is as a result of 357 applications. And it's not looking at the entire roll. So the other thing that it doesn't consider is all the building permits that were issued in the assessment that we've gained through those building permits. So it's not a net effect, it's just one of the effects to our roll.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Perfect. So if there are no other questions regarding the monthly reports, we'll move on to item 8, new business. And before we jump into 8.1, I will ask for Maury's suggestion or direction, rather, on the conflict of interest with Councillor Cannon on Zoom. Regarding logistics, does Councillor Cannon sign off, or does she go into a new meeting room?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Ken and I discussed it for simplicity sakes and to be transparent. Councillor Ken is going to log off and leave the meeting, and then I'll text her and she'll log back on. Correct, Councillor Cannon?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So we'll now resume with item number 8.1, Wawa Ice Fishing Derby, request for additional fees. Mr. Patterson?
All right, so similar to last year, we've had a request from the Wawa Ice Fishing Derby to have an additional waiver of fees above and beyond the $1,500 that's included in council policy. Last year, I wrote a memo about the exact same situation, and so I've attached that for information. The information in that memo is still accurate and still stands. I would like to add that council has policies for a reason, and fundamentally we should consider some changes to the policy, because one of the big parts of writing this policy a couple years ago was so staff could make a decision within the parameters that were given to us by council. And so I've got included in here some slightly different wording around the right to appeal to make sure that staff can deal with these. I think it's worth it to note that we do provide the Ice Fishing Derby with a waiver of fees up to the maximum amount. So we provide them with a $1,500 waiver of fees over a $3,000 expense. So we're essentially splitting the room costs and the expense with the Ice Fishing Derby currently, and that is due to the maximum amount as identified in council's policy.
Okay, is there anything else?
I have a question, more, if you could hear me.
Councillor Cannon, do you have a question? Or Councillor Cannon, or Councillor Hatfield, sorry.
Yes, Alex, what does it cost to rent the arena for a day?
The rate for the arena is $1,000 a day for a special event as set out in the schedule of fees.
Okay. And, okay.
Councillor Hoffman, Councillor Opato, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
So, if I can summarize, or if I can pose a question to you, are you in alignment with Alex's recommendation?
Yes.
Yes.
I am. Yes.
So, I'm also in alignment with your recommendation that we that you're proposing. Councillor Hatfield, both Councillor Opato and Councillor Hoffman and myself support Alex's recommendation that he's made. Did you have any questions or comments that you wanted to make on the topic?
I just thought that they could charge the fish derby what it cost them to rent. Like if they could give them another $500 off and they pay the $1,000. I mean, all we want to do, and I know you don't agree, is break even. But if this organization didn't give every penny back into the community, then I would have a problem. But they didn't give us a financial statement, and that's the one part that wasn't good. But how many days do they use the rink, Alex?
So it's 3 days for the event and then an additional half day for setup that we don't charge for.
3 days. So
yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you only want to charge them $1,500?
Yeah, so essentially the fish derby as the policy stands right now is not eligible for a fee waiver. As staff, we've essentially made the common sense decision to say, hey, listen, they're an important organization. We will grant them a fee waiver even though they're not eligible, but we've granted them a fee waiver up to the maximum of $1,500 identified in the policy. So the total charge as per the schedule of fees is $3,000. And we're taking $1,500 off as a fee waiver. So the total cost to the Ice Fishing Derby is $1,500 for the 3 days.
And they know this?
Yes.
Well, Yeah, well then I have to agree with you, Alex.
So, Alex, what do you need from us? Council is aligned. We support your recommendation 100%. So I don't think that there needs to be a resolution passed.
No, because that follows the council policy and the direction that we've had in the past. So I think the only thing that we're going to do is at the next meeting, we're going to bring the fee waiver policy back to council with that suggested change. And then council will have an opportunity to comment and vote on that at the meeting that it comes to.
Okay, so with the new changes that you're recommending, this will not come back to council in 2025.
That's the theory. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So is there any other comments or?
Good.
Perfect. Okay. Councillor Hatfield, do you have any more comments that you'd like to make on this matter before we close?
No.
Before we move on?
I'll just make sure that I read that policy more carefully. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we'll wait a moment before we move on so that Councillor Cannon can get back onto the screen. And I think I just wanted to acknowledge the good work that the Wawa Ice Fishing Derby does, and acknowledge that Michelle is in the gallery. So thank you very much to yourself, Michelle, and all the volunteers. So. And with Councillor Cannon back on the screen, we will move on to item number 8.2, Roma delegation presentations. Maury, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an informational report to inform Council that the Mayor and myself will be attending the Rural Ontario Municipal Association annual meeting this coming Sunday to Tuesday in Toronto. We made 2 requests for delegations to 2 different ministries. Firstly, the Ministry of Infrastructure to discuss local broadband funding, and number 2, the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services regarding our DSAB apportionment. Only our delegation to the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services was granted, so we will not be seeing the Minister of Infrastructure on this trip. This provides Council this report with an overview of what we'll be bringing to the ministries. And in essence, to the Ministry of Social and Community Services, we are going to bring forward a request that the ministry relook at its laws and regulations that it's passed that outline the rules for DSABs or district service agencies, and in the way that these organizations are permitted to pass resolutions around how they treat power dam apportionment when they calculate an annual budget and allocate the cost to each municipality involved. Right now, the legislation says that it's up to the board to make the decision. And Wawa, as Council is aware and has supported in past discussions, takes exception when a board or an organization puts in an alternate funding model that hasn't been looked at or reviewed in over 20 years and shows reluctancy to look at an issue that is really treating local taxpayers very inequitably and very unfairly because the way they apportion or set out what each municipality will share in the Algoma district in terms of ambulance and childcare and social service costs, Wawa taxpayers are paying about double what another municipality would pay because of the way they treat the water power dam grant that we receive annually. So a very complex topic, but in summary, I know that the mayor, with the support of our consultant, Peter Fries, who's an expert in these subject matters, will be meeting with the ministry on next Tuesday morning to bring this to the attention of the minister, to ask for consideration of a change in the legislation.
Is there any questions?
Good.
Any well wishes of luck? I'll take them. Thank you very much, Maury. We'll now move on to item 8.3, 2024 operating and capital budget. Manuela.
Hello, thank you. So just a quick review. I guess my recommendation is that later this evening, Council approves the 2024 operating and capital budgets, the 2024 only, to be clear, as presented, and the adoption of bylaw number 366624 to adopt the estimates of all sums required to set the 2024 operating and capital budgets for the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa. So what's different this year is we're adopting the budget only at tonight's meeting, should council choose to do that, and not the rates. The rates will be set later by bylaw once we receive some more information from the province. We're waiting on the education rates. Once we have that, we can adopt the rates. But we're asking that the budget be set and approved this evening. So the comment period, question and comment period ended December 5th. I received no questions or comments from the public. I did sit down with 2 councillors over that period of time to discuss the budgets and address any concerns. The budget is a 4% increase to the property tax levy, which is equivalent to almost $210,000. It includes, $6.3 million in capital and transfers to capital reserves of $412,000. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we're asking that the bylaw be passed this evening.
Are there any questions or comments?
I have none.
We have none from Councillor Rapatta or Councillor Hoffman. Councillor Cannon or Councillor Hatfield? Any questions? None?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much. I did have one question. Is it very typical that we receive no questions from the public on such an important matter?
I think the average is 1.
Really?
In all the years that I've been here, I think one year I had 2 different people approach me that were not part of council, but most years it's 1.
Wow. Again, that doesn't surprise me, but certainly something to put in the parking lot to try and improve resident engagement on such a topic, especially as taxes increase and this is so important. Councillor Kennedy, did you have your hand up?
I just wanted to say that that's after sitting down with Manuela and her answering all my questions, it is a very good budget. Well done.
And Manuela, if you are on for item 8.4, schedule of fees.
Thank you. Yes, we are also asking this evening that the schedule of fees be adopted. It also underwent a review process till December 5th. There was absolutely no questions on the schedule of fees. We considered the needs of the municipality when we set the new fees, best practices, legislative requirements, some of the recommendations from the 10-year financial plan and the water and wastewater long-term plan. So we're asking that that schedule also be adopted this evening.
Perfect. Any questions from council? None. No questions from council. So we're aligned with the schedule of fees.
Thank you very much.
Item 8.5, zoning notice for short-term accommodations.
Thank you, Mayor. And in front of council is a draft of a notice to be released by the municipality this Friday, notifying the community at large that council will be holding a statutory public meeting to receive input from the public on the proposed Wawa official plan and zoning bylaw amendments that were discussed in my report to council on short-term accommodations. And in essence, the report to council, which we didn't receive any negative feedback on, would be that our planning documents be amended to recognize that short-term rentals units have been happening in Wawa for many years. that a dedicated short-term rental accommodation policy is required to legalize the short-term accommodations that exist in the community illegally today from a planning perspective, because our planning documents are old and didn't recognize that short-term rentals would occur. That the policies that council will enact in the zoning bylaw would make it legal for short-term accommodations to take place in any residential zone in the community. So they would be permitted. They would permit it as well based on a number of regulations that would require, for example, that any short-term rental accommodation obtain a license from the municipality annually and pay an annual license fee and go through an approval process that would include things such as in the license that a site plan be submitted indicating where fire detectors are located, that the building inspector review the building from both a building and fire perspective to make sure all safety and health regulations are followed. And that those short-term rentals that do occur or might grow in this community can never take away the primary purpose of a residential area being residential and not causing nuisance to neighbors. They must comply with all municipal bylaws. For example, they don't cause excessive noise, they don't cause excessive parking problems. So there would be a series, as outlined in this public meeting notice, of requirements that short-term accommodations had to meet. So this zoning bylaw notice will be released to the community if council agrees with the approach taken by the municipality to try to legalize an existing use, put planning requirements in place to make sure that our renters and our owners are safe from doing something that might cause risk to either party. And council recognized many months ago that it does have an obligation and a responsibility to keep our community safe. So the proposed meeting would be a public meeting that council would hold on February 20th, the beginning of a regular council meeting, and council could expect to hear back from our short-term accommodation users and others on whether they have comments or they accept or they reject what council is proposing. On February 20th, it's a public meeting. It doesn't mean that council will pass or make a decision on the 20th. Council will receive input and then make a decision if it needs more public consultation or changes to the proposal. So we'll be following the Planning Act requirements to have a notice period, have the public meeting, and if council agrees, an appeal period. This is all being done also to make sure, as we bring forward over the next couple of months, our recommendations about the municipal accommodation tax, that any short-term rental accommodation can be considered by council as being part of the municipal accommodation tax process, which council again indicated on a issue of fairness to everyone in the community that they should be. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Is there any questions or comments from council on the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendments? Councillor Cannon?
I just wanted to suggest maybe this public meeting be held where everybody can come, like at the rink or something, instead of having it in council chambers.
Maury?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Cannon. So we will look if the banquet room is not booked. We'll schedule that meeting there. In the alternate would be to hold the meeting downstairs where it is an accessible at least meeting room. So we'll take that and get back to council on a location.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. If there's no other comments or questions, I believe we're able to move on to 8.6, the CAO memo, OPP new detachment board.
Thank you, Mayor. And it's been some time since I've spoken to council about the proposed and new OPP regional detachment boards. The proposed legislation, the new Police Act, was enacted by the province just a couple months ago. And the actual enactment date that the new Police Act comes into effect is April 1st, 2024. Within that new act, the new Community Safety and Policing Act, there is a law set out that regional OPP detachment boards will be formed. Right now, we have the Wawa Police Services Board that Councillor Hoffman sits on as council's representative, along with Chair Chris Buckle and provincial designate Danette Mathias. So we have a Wawa Police Board, and that is referred to as a Section 10 police board that only concerns itself with Wawa policing matters, and it's a carry-on from the days that Wawa had its own police force. But the new detachment board will include the areas serviced by our detachment, our OPP detachment, which include White River, Hornpain, Dubreuilville, Chapleau, and all unorganized areas and properties in between. What we aren't clear of now is that the Police Act comes into force on April 1st, but staff is still awaiting the regulations that need to be passed that haven't yet, that will provide council with the confirmation of how that police board is comprised or put together. So over the past few years, on behalf of council, I've been in conversations and at meetings with the Solicitor General, and this council and the councils of the surrounding municipalities indicated to the ministry that each council in each municipality would appoint one member of council to represent the community on the new detachment board. So that would be 5 municipal representatives. There would be 2 provincial appointees, 2 community representatives selected at large for a board of 9 members. I'm not looking at my notes and I'm forgetting, but I believe 9 members. So tonight I wanted to provide an update to council as the Wawa Police Board had a recent meeting, and under the great thinking of our local police board, they recognize that there is a lot of work that includes policy development, budget development, preparation to get a new board into place, and that really no one's taking the lead because no one really is in charge. And in my opinion, there's been a lack of information flowing from the Solicitor General about how to implement a new regional board. So our Police Services Board has invited all the surrounding communities and its association to come to a training session at a meeting on February 14th at 1 p.m. That's Wednesday, February 14th at 1 p.m. We've extended an invitation to all our surrounding communities to bring their CAO clerks and their potential council appointee. So tonight, part of this report was to bring council back up to speed at where we're at with the formation of these regional boards, but also that council consider at a future meeting to appoint a member of council to sit on the new regional detachment, likely effective April 1st, but that date is to be confirmed. So I've attached some background information to update council where we're at. And of course, it would be an open meeting that all council could attend if they wish to learn more. But we would look for council to discuss who might want to sit on the new detachment board. And I note that, again, that Councillor Hoffman's our current council representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maury, for the report. So that's one of your recommendations, that the report be received by council. So I believe that we can certainly fulfill that recommendation. And you're looking for council to select its member to be appointed by the new OPP. So I'll ask council for any questions or comments. And I think maybe I'll also pose the question to Councillor Hoffman if he's willing to accept be selected or to continue his
I haven't decided yet.
okay, so he hasn't decided. So maybe before we open it up to just general questions, we'll ask council if they are interested to reach out to Maury and express their interest to sit on this new OPP detachment board. But certainly Councillor Hoffman, with his experience in sitting on this board, is certainly a front runner. Is there any questions, other questions or comments regarding this report? It is a very important board and certainly one that's very important to the services that WAL receives by the OPP, especially as we look to have a new OPP detachment built in our community.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Hatfield.
I don't know who could answer this. I'm sure Jim or Maury probably could. I'm really confused about all of the towns around, like Chapleau. Are they still going to have a chief there?
Oh, yes.
Like all these places that going to be represented on the board, where do they come from? Every town gets to do that?
Maury, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Hoffman.
No, Hatfield.
Oh, Hatfield, sorry, Hoffman, excuse me. The current OPP detachment has a sergeant, a staff sergeant. That's Councillor Kevin Fellinger. And Kevin Fellinger already is the primary quote, quote, chief or the staff sergeant for Chapleau, for White River, for Hornpain. So there'll still be the current model of one staff sergeant looking after the whole area. In terms of the board, each council, so the Council of Chapleau, the Council of Hornpain, of Dubreuilville and White River, they're all doing the same process we're doing here tonight. They're all looking to have one member of their council sit on the detachment board. Chapleau's already picked their member. I believe White River as well. So I'm not sure if I'm answering the question. So in terms of police services, things remain the same. Now it's just a different approach to have a board that will be developed and composed under legislation, so that when we start talking about police services, we're not just talking about Wawa. We're talking about all the police issues in the region. There's many reasons behind this change, but partly it's so we are more transparent, we open communications. We don't have a staff detachment sergeant having to go to each community individually to give updates. And essentially the police provide services in the whole region, not just Wawa. There's some responsibility for the staff sergeant to report to the other communities in this new legislation that doesn't exist today. So he doesn't have to, from a legal perspective, communicate. So I hope that's answering your question.
I think that you did, Maury, because I never heard Chapleau before in there. But I cannot believe how much distance, how many people come. Like this young man has a tremendous amount of responsibility. Holy smokes. Anyway, thank you.
Councillor Cannon, did you have a question or comment? No? Maury, I do have a question regarding the two community members at large, and you may not be able to answer it, but do we know how those members will be selected?
No.
At this time, it appears, based on feedback from the Solicitor General, that they would be two communities at large representing the region that each municipal council has to agree to. So two members that live in the Superior East region, but this council would get a vote on who those two members are, White River, Hornpain, so all the participating communities. So I do know that the community representatives are the responsibility of municipal councils to vote, How that process is going to roll out, not exactly sure, but the parallel is Wawa along with Duberville, White River. I can't recall if Hornpain's involved, but we do get along, or we are able to work together, and we all appointed one representative. Mrs. Hemphill from Duberville represents Wawa, Duberville, White River, maybe other communities on the Algoma Health Board. So there is some precedent that we can make this work, and I did get clarification. The new detachment board will not be selecting these community representatives. This will be a responsibility of each council.
So can I assume that there'll be a call for applicants, a public call for applicants that goes out to the general public?
Yes, and Mayor, I believe there will be, but that responsibility, and this becomes part of the complication, is the responsibility of the new board to do.
Okay.
So it's like chicken and egg. It really should be done now, so we can have those two people take part in the training and participate when the new board gets rolling. But until this is posted, it's like the environmental registry, but there's an Ontario registry where legislation gets posted, and then there's a public comment period. Until the board composition is actually posted on that registry, and I will keep council and the police board advised, nothing is guaranteed on how this police board will be formed. And I would quickly note, Mayor, as your question was excellent, it reminded me to share with council, if you didn't note it in the report, there are First Nation communities that fall in the detachment area, which include Michpicot First Nation and Hornpain First Nation. The Chapleau area First Nations are served by the Anishinaabe Police Service, so they already have contracts with a police body to provide policing, but Michpicot and Hornpain First Nations do not, so they are part of our detachment board area, or the police do service those areas, and at a future time, the Solicitor General may indicate or dictate that members of representing the First Nation communities get added to the detachment board at a later date. So thank you.
Perfect. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll just summarize the recommendations. Staff will receive, or council will receive the report. And please, if there is any interest, Councillor Hoffman or any other councillors, Councillor Cannon, Councillor Fado, Councillor Hatfield, please indicate your expression of interest to be appointed to the new OPP Detachment Board. We're looking to appoint a new member by February 6th. We do have to appoint somebody eventually. So if we don't have a volunteer, we'll have to develop a process to appoint a councillor. So we'll leave that there. Councillor Cannon, do you have a?
Yeah, can I just, Jim, can you tell us when you decide, so that if you are going to take it on, then?
Well, I'm just, because we're going to have this meeting and we're going to have a person from the OPP here on the 14th, and hopefully she can answer a pile of questions, because I'm kind of, well, Maury knows I'm not happy with what's going on. I'm worried about the money, and I just think this is another money grab by the government. Anyway, no, well, I got to stop. But yes, I will let you know. But when
Thank you.
Perfect. So there is no items in item number 9, 10, or 11. So the next meeting date is Tuesday, February 6, 2024. We will now move to adjourn. Item 13.1, close of meeting. May I have somebody make a motion to approve? Councillor Opato, Councillor Hoffman, all in favor? Closed. Please let me know when you're ready to go into a regular council.
Are we on? Are we on? No, okay.
I'll now call this meeting to order and note the members present at 7:40 p.m. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest.
None.
Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. There are no delegations or presentations, so we will move on to item number 5, announcements and giving of notice. There are numerous announcements listed on the agenda. Are there any announcements from council?
None for me.
Seeing none from council, I do have a couple. I wanted to, first of all, just wanted to give kudos and praise to all of our municipal infrastructure staff for keeping the roads open during our first significant snowfall event. They're certainly not perfect, but they are really, really great. And I wanted to make that announcement. Really thankful and give gratitude to all of our staff for keeping us safe. Bell Let's Talk. It's a national event. It's on January 24th. So wanted to make that. That's a national event that highlights mental health awareness across Canada. So please get out and share social media, get on your social media and share. I also wanted to, my third announcement was regarding the AMO educational modules. I wanted to encourage, I feel like I lost myself here, to encourage council to review the recent offerings. AMO always has really good ones, but they really grabbed my attention this time. Governance, leadership training, Indigenous training as well. So wanted to make those points today. Item number 6, adoption of minutes. 6.1, regular council meeting.
Did you miss number?
Number 5 was announcements and giving of notice.
No, I'm thinking about all that stuff below 5.1, 5.2.
Oh, I just say it all at once. Perfect. So item number 6, adoption of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the following minutes of the meeting of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, December 14th, 2023, as contained on pages 1 to 8, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 7, correspondence. There are multiple items of correspondence. Maury, is there anything that you would like us to pay particular attention to?
Yes, Mayor. Item 7.5 is of concern. It's regarding information in a letter we received that would indicate that the regional public health laboratories are being closed, gradually eliminating some drinking water testing services in Ontario. That, along with another piece of correspondence not shared with council tonight, is being forwarded to our Algoma Health representative, Julila Hempel. And we're asking her for comment back, and we'll bring this forward to council to see if she recommends, as our regional representative, if council should take further action, including a resolution or letters of support. But we need to understand how these might impact Wawa, because as council's aware, we do daily water testing, and the cost to undertake that water testing is very, very high. So this is of concern, so we have our eye on it, and we'll come back to council once we hear back from our local representative.
Perfect, thank you. Item number 8, consent agenda.
Moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the items listed under the consent agenda under 8.2 be approved as recommended.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 9.
Resolved that moved by Councillor Hoffman, second by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa does hereby receive the following staff reports and memos. The Police Services Department, December monthly report. The Infrastructure Services Department, December monthly report. The Finance Department, December monthly report. The CAO Corporate Services Department, November-December monthly report. The Community Services and Tourism Department, December monthly report. The Alex Patterson memo, High Falls Road name change. The Rebecca Weatherall memo, proposed changes to waste disposal site levels of service. The Rebecca 2024-02 report, Food Cycler Food Waste Diversion Municipal Pilot Program. Alex Patterson memo, Wawa Ice Fishing Derby. The CAO 2024-02 report, the Roma delegation presentations. Manuela Batovania 2024-01, 2024 operating capital budget. Manuela's report on the schedule of fees. The zoning notice for short-term accommodations. And lastly, the CAO memo on the new OPP detachment board.
All in favor? Carried. Business arising out of previous minutes.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, second by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa does hereby receive staff report number 2024-01, Drill Rig Monument 2024 update, and accept the director's recommendations to continue to work on repairing the Wawa drill rig as outlined in the report.
All in favor? Carried. There is no notice of motion. Item number 13, bylaws. Oh, I skipped all of new business, didn't I? 11.1.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Whereas the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act 1990 has not been comprehensively reviewed in over 30 years, and whereas municipalities consider transparency an important tool for building and maintaining public trust and recognize the importance of continuously improving, and whereas municipal administrators need legislation that supports effective local program delivery, is responsive to current technology, and reflects its original intent of open and accountable government. And whereas MFIPA legislation presents a number of challenges for municipal staff, which can hinder its effectiveness and efficiency when it comes to serving the public. And whereas municipalities should have updated legislation that ensures municipal resources are best allocated, that increases trust in public institutions through strengthening accountability, transparency, and responsiveness, and addresses the need of the digital era. And whereas the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario has comprehensively reviewed MFIPA legislation and put forward recommendations in their submission, looking ahead, a proactive submission to modernize the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act, be it resolved that the Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery be requested to review MFIPA and consider recommendations as outlined by AMCTO within their submission, looking ahead, a proactive submission to modernize the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Be it resolved. Sorry, I thought there was another page.
All in favor? Carried. 11.2.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman and seconded by Councillor Pato. Whereas staff report RW 2024-02, Food Cycler Food Waste Diversion Municipal Pilot Program, recommends that the municipality Wawa participate in a Food Recycler Food Waste Diversion Municipal Pilot Program. Be resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa approves participation in the Food Cycler Pilot Program as recommended by staff, and further approves that the amount of up to $15,000 from the General Working Reserve in 2024 be used to subsidize the net costs of the program.
All in favor? Carried. 11.3.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Pato. Whereas current provincial municipal fiscal arrangements are undermining Ontario's economic prosperity and quality of life, And whereas nearly a third of municipal spending in Ontario is for services in areas of provincial responsibility, and expenditures are outpacing provincial contributions by nearly $4 billion a year. And whereas municipal revenues such as property taxes do not grow with the economy or inflation, and whereas unprecedented population and housing growth will require significant investments in municipal infrastructure, and whereas municipalities are being asked to take on complex health and social challenges like homelessness, supporting asylum seekers, and addressing the mental health and addictions crisis, and whereas inflation, rising interest rates, and provincial policy decisions are sharply constraining municipal fiscal capacity, and whereas property taxpayers, including people on fixed incomes and small businesses, cannot afford to subsidize income redistribution programs for those most in need, and whereas the province can and should invest more in the prosperity of communities, and whereas municipalities and the provincial government have a strong history of collaboration. Therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa requests the Province of Ontario to commit to undertaking with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario comprehensive social and economic prosperity review to promote the stability and sustainability of municipal finances across Ontario.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 12, there are no items in notice of motion. Item number 13, bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Pato, resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3660-24, to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 16th day of January 2024. Bylaw number 3661-24, to provide for an interim tax levy and the payment of interim taxes for the year 2024. Bylaw number 3662-24, to adopt various tax extension agreements for the year 2024. Bylaw number 3663-24, to authorize the purchase of certain lands from the province of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry. Bylaw number 3664-24, to authorize temporary borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. Bylaw number 3665-24, to adopt the schedule of fees for the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa for the year 2024. Bylaw number 3666-24, to adopt the estimates of all sums required to set the 2024 operating capital budgets for the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa. Bylaw number 3667-24, to authorize the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa to enter into an agreement with Carol Ann Robinson for the lease of the center portion of 96 Broadway Avenue on the lower floor for a physiotherapy clinic for the years 2024 and 2025. And bylaw number 3668-24, to authorize the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa to enter into an agreement with Emma de Gagne for the lease of office space at 96 Broadway Avenue on the lower floor for a dental hygienist clinic.
All in favor? Carried. There are no items listed in item number 14, 15, or 16. Item number 17, next meeting date, 17.1, Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. Item number 18, adjournment. 18.1, close of meeting.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that the meeting close at 7:54 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much to everyone for your hard work. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you very much, Councillor Kennan and Councillor Hatfield. Appreciate you zooming in. Thank you very much.